Hello and welcome back to the channel, and thank you for joining me in another of my videos. Now we're going to have a look at the Schools and Wellbeing Bill, because there's some worrying things in it. Well, any bill going through Parliament's going to be bound to have some worrying things in it, because it doesn't seem to be that any bills passing through Parliament are there actually for the people of the country, rather than for the usefulness that it will do to the government and their control over us. But before I start, I just want to say a thank you to the very lovely lady who gave me an Orgonite beer, I was going to say beer mat then, but it's a coffee mat, a cup mat, a mug mat. I don't know what you call them really, but anyway. Thank you very much. I'm charging up my cup of coffee. As I charge through the Schools and Wellbeing Bill, let's just have a look at the one on Parliament website, which I'll leave a link in the description. And here is the long title, and of course, it sounds all very good and very nice and beneficial. A bill to make provision about the safeguarding and welfare of children, about support for children in care and leaving care, about regulation of care workers, about the regulation, notice a number of times regulation comes in there, of establishments and agencies under Part 2 of the Care Standards Act 2000, about employment of children, about the breakfast club provision, about school uniform, about the attendance of children at school, about regulation again of independent educational institutions, about the inspections of schools and colleges, about teacher misconduct, about academies and teachers at academies, repealing section 128 of the Education Act 2002 about school places and admissions, and about establishing new schools and for connected purposes. Now, a lot of people on this channel may well think, well, none of that applies because I am home educating my children. Aha! But these people want to poke their nose in every avenue of your life and become a complete and utter nuisance, it would seem. And who gives them that permission? Well, unfortunately, we do if we get into their system as a person and become a member of the public and go on the electoral roll, things that really are now we're beginning to understand is not actually a benefit. To be a citizen is actually to be a second-class citizen, or third-class really, and that you probably would rather be one of the people out of the legislation altogether. But we'll talk about that more in another show. Now, I am going to get a lady on. She approached me and sent me some interesting notes about this bill, the Schools and Wellbeing Bill, because she is worried, and so is the organisation, I think, behind her. But I'm just throwing that up. I don't know when that will be. I've got to organise a date. But in the meantime, let's just have a look at this, some notes about issues and implications that she very kindly sent me about this. Now, I can't do this justice in this short video, and as I say, I'll get her on to go through, but let's just have a look at some of the things that might be highlighted here. So this bill undermines and or removes parental rights and authority. The current law states that all children must be given a full-time, suitable education from the term after their 5th birthday. LA, I'm not quite sure what that means, recognises that education is compulsory, but school is not. Parents' legal duty is set out in Section 7 of Education Act 1996 as follows. The parent of every child of compulsory school age has a duty, a legal duty, to ensure that he or she receives efficient full-time education suitable to her age or his age, ability and aptitude, and to any special educational needs that he or she may have by regular attendance of the school. Otherwise, home education will no longer be an automatic right if this bill goes through. Lifestyle choice, or one based on morals, faith, or what the parents deem in the best interests of the child, that's all going. So whether you don't want your child to be sexually groomed by their teachers, asking them about what turns them on or how to masturbate, Labour has just taken the parents' rights away in such a curriculum. You are, or if you're a Christian and you don't want your child to learn about evolution, or are able to spend more time in God's world, or the countless many other reasons why you think home education is best for your child, your freedom of expression is null and void. That is going to put hackles up lots of people. If as I say, the key thing is to get out of their jurisdiction. We'll talk about that, as I say, in another video. Anyone who wants to deregister their children will need to satisfy the local authority. I mean, in the past, you could just say, thank you very much, I don't want your education, it's nothing to do with you, I'll do it, but not anymore. This will be especially tricky for children with SEN issues. I'm not quite sure what SEN means, but maybe you do. Those that are currently home education will need to submit excessive details and data to be scrutinised by the local authorities to decide whether the education you are providing is suitable. This is a terribly vague and down to the interpretation of the local authority. LA must be local authority, there we go, who is a person hired by the council with no specialist training in child psychology, health, SEND issues, mental health, education philosophies, and in a lot of cases do not have their own children, and in some cases very young without much life experience or a broader view of the world. So these people are going to decide whether or not you can have your children educated at home. This goes on, and there's lots of very worrying things about this. There are problems with providing these reports and information. I won't go into all of this, but the thing that really that came out of this for me is on page 6. If I just go down to page 6, you will see this is rather worrying. If I come down here we go. So the schools bill not only seeks to mandate a home education register, but to give every child in school or otherwise a unique identification number. This will stay with the child for the rest of their life and collate everything from their test scores and exam results, detentions, criminal offences, etc., and will be referenced for things like job interviews. No doubt all this will become your social credit score, low key starting with children, groomed to see this as normal from birth. It's also proposed that in the future this identification number becomes a chip inserted into the body. Many children across the country have started to use biometrics in schools to receive free school meals made of bugs and Bovir, of course, via a retina scan. This is incredibly worrying. The bill pushes fear into the public, saying that they must have this, so many children are going missing. Home educated are seen and traceable. They merely are registered with the NHS, doctors and dentists, libraries, clubs and activities. Many perform in various arts and plays and sports teams. They're out in the communities most days and seen in regular shops. The use of public services such as trains and buses may even have their own business or YouTube channels. These are, home educated children, in other words, are very bright, and they're dealing with life and dealing with the life issues that we ordinarily have to deal with, and they're learning the sort of stuff that they no longer teach in school, like cooking and do it yourself and woodwork and metalwork and being a responsible member of the community, things that you would think that would be priming children for life in these institutional schools. But no, we're told about feelings and what turns you on and how to masturbate and all sorts of other things which children, when they are adults, will learn for themselves. Thanks very much. We don't need them to be indoctrinated. So this is an incredibly worrying bill that's going through. And again, it's another reason to be out of the legislation jurisdiction. And more people are beginning to realise that the government's nosy Parker, we're going to tell you what to do. We are sovereign, not you, the individual man and women, and their wonderful, lovely offspring. It's time that we said no to all of this. We've got to, at the end of the day, decide whether we want to live under this dictatorship, this tyranny, and be told these are the rules, and have democracy flipped on its bottom, so that instead of the people deciding what's going on, the government is, and that's been going on, let's face it, in 100 years. So if you're a voter, if you're on the electoral roll, if you acquiesce to being a citizen, if you're a member of the public, you are under legislation. And legislation is the type of nonsense that this is there to dictate to you. And I don't think this is a very good idea, but you may prefer it. You may want a bunch of people in the House of Commons and the House of Lords deciding exactly what you and your children can do. And you've seen just an example of the type of things that they want to do. I'd be interested in your comments. Let me know what you think. As I say, I'll get someone to go through this and talk about the sort of things that we can do. But of course, we've seen that petitioning and protesting has no benefit whatsoever. They're not going to listen, because you are a third-class citizen if you go with the begging bowl and say, excuse me, do you mind not doing this to me? Please don't do it to me. And they will just laugh in your face, as they have laughed pretty much at every petition and protest that goes on. Basically, we need to be out of their system where they can't touch you. And the only people that put them there is us. So let's stop putting them in that position of power. Thanks for watching. I will talk to you soon.